Welcome to episode number 51 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with me, host Stefan Loeffler at Junk Wax Twins, Ben Wilson at our Trading Card Time. I'm Tim Shepler at Big Chef 79. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors, hoping to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on YouTube, 10 Central. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. Check out the new website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com. And we posted 2 new reviews today, one on Score Football and Panini Prism Baseball. Next week, we're going to be celebrating our 1-year anniversary. Listen to the end of the show to learn how to win prizes live on the show next week. That'll be fun. Episode 52 will have marked 1 year. Actually, the first show was on June 7th, which is Friday. So that's a true anniversary, but the way it falls. And so we're excited about that. Fellas, welcome. How are we doing tonight? We're good? Awesome. I'll take silence as agreeing. We have a great guest with us tonight, Ryan Johnson at Card Collector 2 on Twitter. How's it going, Ryan?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Outstanding. I'm glad you could join us. He's actually the owner of Card Collector 2 Sports Cards in Columbus, Ohio. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. Just bought it.
Awesome. And they're open on Tuesday through Friday from 12 to 7 and Saturday and Sunday 12 to 5. And we're really happy. We're going to get right into it tonight because I'm very excited to have you on the show. So the last few weeks, I think it was, towards the end of May, I saw that you'd purchased a card shop, a current LCS, and you rehabbed it and you started sharing photos and videos and of the progress and what it looked like before. And then it was like a week later, an amazing turnaround. And that happened to a card show shop Ben and I go to about 5 years ago now. And it's been amazing. So we want to get into it. And it really inspired me to okay, let's get him on. Let's figure out what it's like because we've not had an owner on the show. Yeah. Get somebody that's hopping in right now when the hobby is very hot, as well as taking over an established place. So just what made you decide to take that, to buy it, take it over, and what was that process like?
Yeah, so it honestly it happened so fast. The owner, I've known the owner for about 15 years. Interesting guy, very nice, but I've known him for a long time. And he'd mentioned to me back in December, hey, I'm thinking about selling, thinking about moving. And he's sometimes can be indecisive, so I could, in 1 year out the other, didn't really think anything of it. And then he just kept talking about it. And when it was apparently supposed to be sold to someone else, and apparently it had fallen through. So I had called about it because rumor at the show was the sale didn't go through. So, we've been friends for a while. I called and he said, it fell through. Do you want to buy it? And again, just kind of yeah, right. I don't expect it to happen. He started telling me about what was included and what the deal was. And I got off the phone and I just thought about it more and more. And I was like, this seems like a really good deal. So I have some friends in the card shop business. And I kind of reached out to a couple of them and was like, hey, I got this offer to buy a store. Does this sound like a good deal? And they're like, it sounds like one of your best opportunities you're going to have. And my goal since I was a kid has always been to own a card store. That's for sure what I wanted to do. I've been dead set on that. Even with retail dying, it seems like more and more, I still have been kind of dead set on owning a store. I just didn't expect it to happen so soon. So, talked to them, then went home, talked to my wife, and I was offered the store. It'll be 3 weeks this Saturday. And I purchased it the next Tuesday. So 3 days later, was open Tuesday and Wednesday to kind of pack up and, see if anything walked in the door. And then that Wednesday, I closed it. My wife and I were there for 8.5 hours till 3:30 in the morning Wednesday, painting. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, we were there for almost every day, all day, basically redoing everything like you saw. Then I reopened for business Tuesday of last week. So today was my second day of my second week. But nice. It's been a lot of work, that's for sure. But it's been very, very, very fun. I'm a big fan of it so far.
Well, that's good. So when you took over the store, now my biggest thing is Now, did they take a lot of inventory with them? Did they leave inventory behind for you?
Sure, sure. So I bought everything in the store. I bought the allocation. I bought the lease agreement. I bought the GTS like I said, the GTS allocation. I bought everything. But to be completely honest, the inventory in the store wasn't like your modern day football cards or your modern day baseball cards. It was, piles of 2013 Giovanni Bernard rookies and Brandon Roy rookies, and it was not modern day inventory. It was like outdated stuff by 7 to 10 years, with a few exceptions. So the single game was, you know, just quantity over quality. It wasn't very good. Most of the dollar stuff gets moved to a quarter because it's just outdated. There was a decent amount of wax, but again, quantity over quality. So there was about 50 boxes of 2013 football product and 50 boxes of 2013 Prism baseball product. So again, that's 100 boxes of product to put on the shelf, but not something you're getting a customer coming in every day and looking for. So yes, the inventory came with it, but the inventory wasn't really the main reason for buying the store. It was the other things included in the purchase.
Yeah, you're the one thing. I think the biggest part is probably getting that allocation and being able to
Yes,
have those connections with the distributor.
for sure,
Right now, that's like one of the hardest things to do.
for sure.
What big changes besides taking down all that old inventory and slashing the prices on that? You painted the store, you made some updates. What other changes are you making to the store that might draw new customers in or invite people that were once a customer of the store to come back to it now that it's got a facelift?
Sure, sure. Well, the big thing, if you've ever been in the store, or if you saw the pictures, was the shop. What I've told customers that are regulars or that are coming in now is the shop was built to be very transactional, right? Like you walked in and it was kind of closed off, like a U around the showcases, and then there was like a table in front for like dollar cards and stuff like that, and it was meant for you to come in, it was very tight knit. So like you couldn't come in and stand with a bunch of people. You'd get, claustrophobic. If it filled up quickly, again, there's nowhere to sit. So people would come in, you'd be like, man, my feet are hurting. Where can I sit down? Oh wait, there's nowhere to go. So it's time to go. So it was a very transactional process. So what I did was we pushed the showcases back, got rid of 2 of the showcases and really opened it up. Added some extra lighting, again, painted it, added a floating bar in the front to like have seating for people to pull boxes off the shelves and to look through boxes, and then like a break station in the front when you walk in with like a 4-foot round table with 4 chairs. So just making it more of an experience, and being more personable. There were signs on the door when you walked in that says $20 to appraise your cards. Like I don't buy 80s and 90s. Again, very friendly person, but again, he was in the business 39 years. He had no interest in the calls about like, hey, do you buy sports cards? He rarely would look at stuff. Mark was just the kind of guy that like, if he had a buyer for it, he would buy it. If he didn't have a buyer for it, it wasn't his thing. So he didn't do a lot of buying. So anytime I get a call now, it's, hey, are you buying? Absolutely. So trying to really kind of switch the tone that the shop had. And again, just making it more of an experience to come in the shop nowadays, rather than like come in, spend $5 and leave.
Yeah, no, that's really similar to what our LCS did here. It was owners that had it for a long time. It got rehabbed over. I think he did two weeks because he had to take out the floor. And
Gotcha.
it's a great place to go in now, and super friendly to open product in and be in,
Yep.
and good atmosphere. People just go and hang out. So
Yep.
that's awesome. And so did you frequented this place as a customer for a while?
Yeah, so I've like I said, I've known Mark about 15 years. I was one of the first shops they've been to, so I would say probably about once a month, typically throughout the year.
Okay. And what are you hoping your shop's going to specialize in? Have you decided? Or are you just going to kind of be like a neighborhood shop, or have you had a specific thing you're looking to go after?
I don't really know if I have like a specific specialty right now. I posted a lot on like Facebook and on Instagram earlier. Like I'm trying to be pretty diverse. Again, Mark was very much let's buy things that I know I can sell. And I'm like, I bought 3,000 common Pokemon cards. Like there's older like junk wax, like cheap packs, newer modern wax. I have 35 or 36 boxes of current first off the line product. Prism basketball, Contenders football, lots of supplies, modern day singles, vintage singles. So my big thing is I want to be the place where if someone comes in looking for something, there's a good chance I have it. Very similar to like the National, right? They say if you can't find it at the National, they didn't make it. Obviously, I'll never be that big, that kind of scale. At least I don't plan to. But my thing is if you ask for something, there's a good chance I have it. So being really diverse is kind of where I see my focus right now.
Well, that's awesome.
One thing about an LCS that was extremely important to me as a consumer is, we try to create that community on Twitter. Is
sure.
If you were to come to any one of us, yourself included, especially now that you have an LCS, if I come to you and say, hey, I'm looking for such and such as an A's collector, if you can't get it for me, if you can point me in the right direction, that is so huge. Like, hey,
sure.
You check out this on Twitter. We do that all the time. People hit us up in a DM and say, hey, what about this? I get approached all the time about graded cards, which I know nothing about.
Yeah.
But there's such a great community of people on Twitter that do. And say, hey, you'll hit up so and so, and if they don't know, they'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
And that's great for an LCS. So if you don't have it in stock because you're not going to be able to have everything, being able to provide those resources is great customer service.
Yeah, that is definitely the goal, and that's one thing. I've never been as big on Twitter. My social media following really took off on Instagram, but I will definitely give Twitter props for that because I've started doing like the grading submissions and stuff, and I'll be honest, I have been blown away by the amount of people that will if someone's like, hey, I'm looking to do grading, just the amount of people on Twitter that specifically will be like, hey, this guy can help you, or this guy can help you, or this guy can help you. Twitter is definitely I definitely don't see that kind of camaraderie per se on Instagram. It is very, very, very big on Twitter. I've definitely noticed that.
But that's the beauty of having, the availability of multiple platforms.
Sure.
Tim will be the first one to tell you how much he hates Facebook. I'm in quite a few Facebook baseball card groups.
Yeah.
They create a lot of great content for this show, whether they mean to or not.
Sure.
It's just stuff is talked about on there. We pull stuff from there, and we always try to credit it if we borrow it from them. But
sure,
there's a place for Facebook, whether you like it or not. There's a place for Instagram and Twitter, as well as just organically your current, consumer market locally. And it's. There's nothing wrong with being able to pull from each of those mediums.
Sure.
Effectively.
Absolutely.
Well, tell us a little bit about your hobby history. So, how long have you been collecting? Do you have a favorite sport, team, or player that you personally collect?
Yeah. So I got in. It started in about the late '90s with Pokemon cards. It kind of took off at school. Then Pokemon cards got quickly banned from school, and then it became sports cards. So about early 2000, 2001, I started getting into football cards, and I've been in the hobby ever since. Just really kind of took off. My hobby, for me, the card game really changed in about 2013 when I got on Instagram. Like I said before, my social media following on there over the last 3 or 4 years has really taken off. I started posting just on there as accounts, or as just cards, just random stuff, and then it really became a community for me. And really, just like I said, the last couple of years has just been a whole different game. I've always wanted to do cards full time. I wasn't quite sure what that looked like. I wasn't quite sure when or how. But because the social media presence kind of took off for me, I ended up quitting my job after I got married. Towards the end of last year, and started to do cards full time. Like I said, because I've amassed this large following on Instagram, I was running breaks and I was selling singles and doing grading and all sorts of things. And because I was able to do that, I was I had a great audience to move things, to buy things for grading. Again, it was awesome. It was perfect. So. October of last year, I started doing that full time, and I've been doing that ever since. planned on doing that in the future. And then again, the card shop opportunity became available. And I purchased that. So it's kind of where I'm at now. As far as who do I collect? Really, like, my core focus is Ohio State football. I was in Ohio State, or at Ohio State, when they won the national title in 2014. And I just grew up in Columbus, so Ohio State through and through for sure. So yeah, that's definitely my bread and butter. I do a lot of like investment, like long term, like buy guys low, sell high kind of thing. But my true collection, the one thing I keep long term is Ohio State stuff for sure.
So give our listeners one guy you're buying low right now that you, if you're willing to share. That
Sure. I was just talking about this with someone a minute ago. I have him over there. It's not necessarily a low anymore, but I started buying in December on Darnold. Just Prism Silvers are undervalued at the time. I was buying them for $60 to $75 a piece. I mean, they're one a box. You're not guaranteed a rookie, so I was buying those at $60 to $75. I have 13 PSA 10 and PSA 9 Prism Silvers, 8 Prism 10s, and 5 PSA 9s. But they, like I said, they were somewhere between $60 to $75. PSA 10s are up to around $300 now. Darnold led the league in QBR from weeks 11 to 17. They got Le'Veon. I'm very big on quarterbacks, and I think Darnold is underpriced, and I think he still has room to grow, but from where he's at from December to now, I don't know if the room's quite there. But yeah, he's a guy I'm very, very, very high on.
What is there a guy in basketball to be looking for?
I was buying him last year. He's not nearly as high as he was, but I still buy him long term. I know some people are definitely not on the train, but I'm very big into Jason Tatum.
Yep. All right,
I think Tatum's the real deal. I think when Kyrie's gone, that's his team. I hope it is Kyrie leaving and it's not, Anthony Davis coming in and staying with Kyrie, especially because that means Tatum goes to New Orleans. So I really hope.
I don't think that's going to happen. I
hope not.
If you do that, you're losing Tatum. You can lose Davis in a year, and then you're stuck with Kyrie in what?
Yeah.
The best thing that they could do is let Kyrie go to Brooklyn. Don't trade for Davis on a 1-year deal, and build around Tatum and all your other young assets. That's what I think that ultimately is going to happen.
I mean, they were up 3-2 on LeBron without Kyrie. I mean, they're a better team without Kyrie. I'm very, very high on Tatum. So Tatum's a guy. I don't do enough baseball to know. But from the couple people that I know that do baseball, again, they're not cheap guys, but I've heard really good things about Yordan Alvarez and really good things about Franco. So those are the two guys that I'll pick up from time to time and kind of stash away long term.
What about your buddy Haskins going to the Redskins?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in Haskins. I really wish it would have been New York, but. Yeah, I think Haskins starts early. Just being more of a football collector, especially owning a card store now too. I'm really hopeful that Haskins and or Murray and or someone else kind of like take off in the next couple of weeks or like early in the season. Because I'm afraid that if we don't get much production of those two early on, you're gonna kind of see like a lesser football class.
Kind of like 2013 was.
And that's what scares me. I'm not sure that class seemed decent at the time, average at the time.
Yeah.
And definitely turned out to be not very good. So yeah, I'm hoping we avoid that. I mean, thank goodness that the basketball class is going to be historic. Because football,
those first three.
Yeah. Football has a chance to be,
not as exciting.
Rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rough. So I have two quick easy hits for you.
Yes, sir.
So what you're saying is with a brand new shop that next time me and the wife are visiting the in-laws that we need to make an hour trip over.
Yes, absolutely.
Because from Kettering to Grove City, it's about an hour.
Yeah, just straight over and down 71.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
But the second obvious one, card collector's obvious, but why two?
That's a great question. So when I was when I was really young, I got a fortune cookie when I was a kid, and my lucky number was 2, and I just kind of stuck with 2 from like early age. So my blowout name, which was like the first big platform I was on, right, was just card collector. I didn't have a number associated with it. And then I got on Instagram, and I ended up adding the 2, just because of that. Like I said, that fortune cookie at the time. And yeah, it just became card collector 2, and then everything became card collector 2.
I'm just glad it's not because of Terrell Pryor.
No. Yeah. No.
And then number 3, I guess. Alabama can kind of be depending on whether you're in the North or the South, whether you root for Auburn or Alabama. So I got to ask: Reds, Indians, Browns, Bengals.
So I'm actually not. My dad grew up a Patriots fan, so I know that makes a lot of people upset just being in Columbus and liking the Patriots.
Sure.
So I would prefer the Patriots. I can assure you, though, if I had to root for a team in Ohio, it would for sure not be the Bengals. I'm not a Bengals guy. I would prefer the Browns. I'm not big on Dalton at all, so I would prefer the Browns. I grew up on the Reds, but I'm again not much of a baseball guy. So whatever Ohio team goes farther is probably who I would root for. I don't really have a preference. I like Votto, I guess.
My wife's originally from Dayton, but she has a lot of family in Cleveland, so it makes for very long winters when you're Vikings and Browns fans.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd pepper that one in.
Yeah.
And then I saw you at the Columbus game. I wish that you guys would stop beating my Wild occasionally. It'd be nice. But no, it's just one of those you have to ask where, Ben and Tim may have more choices living in California for one sport, this sport, or that sport.
Yeah.
Whereas, Minnesota, it's the Wild, and I'm definitely not rooting for the Packers.
Yeah.
So, a unique perspective, I guess.
Sure.
Well, we always ask every time we have a guest on, we ask if you could only own one card that you currently own, what card would it be and why?
Man, if I could only own one card.
And do you own it currently?
You're saying that I own it currently?
Ideally.
Yeah, so I my original day one kind of PC was a guy his name's Donnie Nicky. So he was on Ohio State's 2002 national championship team.
Yeah.
We went to the same high school. He was in the NFL for 7 years on kickoffs. His mom was my art teacher. I was a fan of his since I can remember. I have some, multiple game worn jerseys of him, practice jerseys, signed stuff. I've met him multiple times. Great guy, but it was only in 2003 Sage, Sage products. That doesn't have a licensed NFL card. But I have an auto of him at 25. His collection, that collection to me is probably the thing I would probably keep first. It just doesn't have a lot of it has no long-term value. But again, just being that I've met him, we both, Ohio State, same high school, played in the NFL, has cards, and again, being a card collector, I remember collecting his stuff when I was young, because he would have been drafted when I was about 10 or 11. So that's what I would keep first, would be the Donnie Nicky stuff for sure, hands down.
I see. He was a nasty safety. I remember him. He was he was legit in NCAA football 2001.
Yeah,
he was indestructible. So let us know. Let everybody know how we can find your shop locally if you're online or someone through online as well.
Yeah, so the shop is in Grove City, Ohio. It's I sell on eBay. My eBay has definitely taken a sort of a nosedive since I've started the shop and been busy with that. But it's 614 Sports Cards on eBay. And then again, most social media for me is just Card Collector 2. Have a website I used for breaks and grading and stuff like that before, but hasn't been revamped yet for the shop. But again, cardcollector2.com for that. So yeah, this should be that should cover most of my like social media stuff.
Awesome. We'll put those links in the show notes as well. We'll tweet them out tonight.
Awesome.
We really appreciate Ryan you taking the time and coming and hanging out with us. Good luck on your shop, and we hope to see some great progress. I think we will. You seem like you have a really great head on your shoulders and
Thank you.
really good outlook on how to have a store in the modern day age where, like you said, retail is not king anymore, but you're out there having fun, and that's awesome. So congratulations. Keep doing a good job and stay in touch, bud.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. You guys
have a great night. Thank you. We appreciate it. Look, another great interview here on About the Cards podcast. That was great to get a shop owner's point of view of what's going on. We have a busy show tonight, so we're going to run through last week's releases, the week that was. We're going to hit hot off the presses pretty quickly because there's a lot of stuff going on in the hobby, but we couldn't miss out on having Ryan within his first week on the show. I reached out to him, and he was down to do the show, so we got him on, and great interview. So the week that was last week's releases, Topps Living Week 63, we had card 190, Justin Turner, the Dodgers, sold just over 2,700. Card 191, Carter Kieboom, the rookie shortstop from the Nationals, a little over 3,300. And card 192, Wade Davis, pitcher of the Rockies, a new low, 2,605. So he's now the lowest card in the set. Check out at Topps Living Stat for a full breakdown of where to find where these cards fall respectively in the set by team and position. Also last week, we had the Topps Definitive Baseball and then Panini Leather and Lumber launched. So not a real surprise with last week's Top Living's numbers, but yeah, we got Uncle Rich is live with us, bud. That's exciting. I'm glad he's here with us. That's amazing. He is my favorite listener to the show. Hot off the press is new releases. So to the Topps Living Week 64, we have some guy at card 193, Kenneth Griffey Jr., outfielder, Seattle Mariners, Hall of Famer. The first Hall of Famer, a retired player we've had in quite some time. Card 194, Jeff McNeil, rookie second baseman of the New York Mets. And card 195, the veteran catcher, Brian McCann of the Atlanta Braves. I'm already excited. It's a good set. I mean, McCann's not going to do terrible because the Braves have a good following. I know Dubs probably mentioned 6 or 7. And then Griff, McNeil, not too bad, right?
So that McNeil looks horrible, by the way.
Yeah, it's not the worst looking one.
Well, it's not
Rizzo.
It's not Rizzo, but he's challenging. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's the picture, I believe. The rendering is just really bad.
So, plus or minus 19,890 for Griffey.
Way minus.
1989. No, nobody.
No. Sorry, good try, but no.
He'll probably sell around 65.
No, I was thinking like 11 to 13, somewhere in that range.
All right.
You know, I mean, he is one of the...
Woo! And real quick, I said I was gonna have a hot take. Why is Griffey not a White Sox? That's the one he should be.
Why isn't he asleep in the dugout as a Mariner? I mean, right team, wrong.
Well,
right team, wrong image.
Nowadays, some teams do have a sleep room. I mean,
right.
Griffey's just ahead of the curve.
Yeah, well, the Mets if you ask the '80s Mets, they had a different room in the bullpen.
Yeah.
For those stories, David Cohn. Okay, 2019 Topps Finest Baseball came out today, $118 or so a box, 12 packs per box. There are too many boxes in the box, and so 6 packs in each of those mini boxes. You're getting 5 cards per pack. You're going to get 2 on-card autographs, which is cool. A base set's going to be 126 cards. There's an extended short set, which is cards 101 through 125. There are 2 cards for 101. The base is Vlad Jr. The SP of the 101 is Kikuchi of the Mariners. It's regular base cards. The regular base cards come with a full rainbow of parallels. You know, you're getting your bright chrome, and still a very popular release since '93.
So when are they going to get back to peel here to unprotect your card?
I missed that, right? You just never wanted to be the one to peel.
No, I mean, it looks like a nice set. And it's one that they try to push as the auto prospect set, but I just can't get behind it. And that's Just my opinion.
I like the cards.
I get the hype. It's just not for me.
I don't buy it. I'll buy singles. I like the cards.
Yep.
But sometimes you run into both your autos aren't the best for $118. But then you get the guy that's bought it and he pulls Mike Trout every time. So what are you going to do?
Now, you know what's funny is I just took the refractors off my checklist. I might pick them up. One thing that absolutely upsets me is that they have a base set, but then they have an extended base set, which is like an additional 25 cards. It's like, okay, Topps, we get it. We're done with the short prints. We're done with the higher pack odds in order to pull them. We just don't need an extended set. Call it 100 cards and move on, because that's not really a base. Yes, there's base cards, great, but it's not really a set building set per se.
And I don't even get started about short prints. Series 2 is coming out next week. So 2018-19 Upper Deck SP Authentic came out 100 today, 110 a box, 18 packs per box, 5 cards per pack. You're going to get 1 Future Watch autograph rookie card, 1 additional auto, 2 Spectrum FX, 3 red parallels, 4 18-19 Upper Deck hockey updates, and 7 authentic moments, rookie of the year milestones, and or retro draft picks. It's a 238 card base set. If you're looking for the first autographs of NHL autos of Jack Eichel or Nico Heischner, hope I got that right. This is the first product you'll find them in. That's also part of the Bowman or the Upper Deck Bounty program. The Sign of the Times autos and SP Authentic have been a tradition since the 90s, and they've updated that insert set. And the cards not only spotlight players from the era, but also use different designs in that decade style from the 60s through the 90s. They're covered in short print variations. So I know Jack Eichel was like the number 2 pick in a draft a few years ago, and he was a Leaf only guy for a while.
Yep.
And now it's his first NHL card. And I don't Nico, is that Heischner? Did I get Heischner?
Yeah, I think it's Heischer.
Heischer? He's in there too. The hockey guy doesn't even know how to say it. We're in trouble.
Well, the Devils don't play the Wild too often. Once, twice, 3 times a year. But no, first round, first overall, 2017. And then, I mean, I kind of rag on these guys for horrible autos, but how's that Elias Pettersson? I mean, that looks like Ben's kid took a crayon and just went ESP.
Okay, this coming from the guy. Shep, you just said he couldn't pronounce it. Listen to episode 0 again. You introduce us, right? And you're like, Stefan Loff. How do you pronounce your last name there, Chief? And he's like, well,
I just thought of that too.
Like Kenny Lofton, but then add a lure at the end of it.
Okay, it's your story. It only took 51 episodes for you to get your last name right.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah. It's cool.
Also this week, 2019 Panini Luminance Football, 135 a box, 4 packs per box, 10 cards per pack, 1 draft day signatures, 2 additional autographs, 1 mem, 4 inserts, and 5 parallel. It's a 200 card base set. It's the second year for the product. It's a modern look with full bleed cards, kind of a funky text on it, which I really like. It looks.
It's a nice touch.
It's got nice handwriting, and then it's going to have the 2019 draft class, and so all these guys will be in their collegiate uniforms with the autographs. But it's a pretty sharp looking product. I like what they've done with this.
Trying to pull up last year's because our buddy, who I may or may not see this weekend, Crack and Wax, just broke a box of last year's product and had 2 really, really, really nice hits. See if I can get them pulled up here while you guys continue.
Yeah, no. So that's going to be one of those, I would say, mid-level products. It's not bad to get into early on. Drafty signatures, pretty cool. As Steph's pulling up, we'll talk about what's brewing next week's release is 2019 Topps Series 2 Baseball. I'm excited, except for the Vlad 700 short print. 2018-19 Panini Noir Basketball. 2018-19 Topps. Just 2019 Topps MLB sticker collection and album, and then the 2019 Sage autograph football box. So real quick on Series 2, last year was episode 0, right? And I flipped out because Acuna and Torres were going to have short prints. rookie cards in there at the end, and they ended up being like one per case, so it wasn't that bad to pull them. I actually got to pack pull both of them, but Vlad, they're doing the same thing with the Vlad in Series 2 this year. It'd be interesting to see, because last year at this time when those were opened, the Torres and Acuna you could get for like $25, $35 on the open market, and now I know Acuna's going for like 100 and something, and the update card's like $20, and those were going for like $2 or $3. So it'll be interesting what they do with Vlad Jr.
Yeah, it'd be. I don't know. It's just it's getting so tired and old. Just all
Just
this stuff
leave it. Like either an update or he's in Series 2.
And I just reviewed. I know we're not really going over Series 2 right now, but man, I just looked at the checklist, and it's just like you don't need that much stuff in one product.
With the A's, like that was ridiculous. I looked at the A's versus some of the other teams. I was like, it was like you scrolled a couple of pages.
Well, part of the problem with them, and we can get into this more next week, is the 150th greatest season, greatest moments, greatest players, because they just have a lot. They had 6 in Series 1. They're going to have another 5 here in Series 2. That set is so tired and old. And then they have the on-demand version. I mean, we can get into this more next week. I'm irritated. That checklist sucks.
We're moving into Infield Chatter, the Hobby Talk section. For all your team needs, TBS Sports Cards. Infield Chatter, Hobby Talk. Everett Corder tweeted from EV Corder on Twitter. His master's thesis was written on Tim Raines' Hall of Fame candidacy. I hope you got an F, because Tim Raines does not belong in the Hall of Fame. And he tweeted, "Hello, Mr. at Tim Raines 30. You don't know me, and it's likely you won't see this tweet, but I wrote my master's thesis about you and love to get it signed if at all possible. Let me know." I just thought that was interesting to write a thesis on such an average MLB player that was flucked his way into the Hall of Fame, kind of like Lee Smith.
Oh man, Tim Raines should have been in the Hall of Fame a long, long time ago. He was the greatest, based on percentage, he was the greatest base stealer of all time, based on stolen base percentage. But, I mean, did you go back and look at his early 80s stats?
Yeah, for a short period of time. Look at the mid to late 80s through the 90s. He was terrible.
Well, see, that's the thing is he's
like saying Vince Coleman had an awesome stolen base rate, but sucked at everything else.
Yeah, but Tim Raines was a superior player in the late 70s, early 80s. His problem was the last 5 years of
the second half of his career.
He should have quit 5 years earlier, and I think he would have went into the Hall of Fame earlier. I think people looked at his longevity and go like, because he wasn't even he was just a shell of a Major League Baseball player at that point. Not just himself, but just in general. You know.
Moving on. Fanatics is buying Steiner Sports. They acquired the assets of a long-time memorabilia dealer, including most of its inventory. Fanatics will determine in the future whether it will continue using the Steiner name on anything. The Steiner has most of the Yankees are exclusive with Steiner. So I thought that was pretty interesting. For autographs and mem stuff. And I mean, they're signing everybody up. They have Luca now on an exclusive deal. We're going to get to that a little bit more later. But Fanatics, there's also talk that one time they were trying to get into getting the Major League license for baseball cards because they have a ton of guys on exclusives. So interesting.
They're done.
2019 MLB draft happened on Monday. The first 5 picks I thought was interesting. We're all hitters, some high school kids and some college guys, and I'm glad because hitters are more collectible than pitchers. Don't prospect pitching. You'll lose. You'll end up living on the streets, bumming for quarters if you try to PC or you try to prospect pitching. It just does not work out.
Never does.
So with the first pick, the Baltimore Orioles took Adley Rushman, the Oregon State catcher. My Kansas City Royals at number 2 took shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. out of high school. I remember his dad was a Ranger and an A. Pick 3 went to the Chicago White Sox. They took first baseman Andrew Vaughn. And 4th pick was the Miami Marlins, and they took outfielder J.J. Bleday from Vanderbilt. I think he had like 20-something jacks this year. And then pick 5 was Detroit Tigers. They took high school outfielder Riley Green. So I don't know if you guys saw any of the draft, and I know Ben did, and he said, they talk about how these guys are going to be awesome and great, and that's what they're there to do. They're there to handhold and say everybody's going to be great, and why would you take them if they weren't? You didn't think they were going to be good, right?
But when you're sitting there analyzing it, and you're like, well, this guy, the Colorado Rockies really have a need at second base long term, and this guy's going to fill that solution. It's like, he's not feeling it next week, dude. He's filling it like 2023.
Well,
By
that's
then, how do you know that the guys they have currently in their system aren't going to be,
or they sign a free agent? Yeah, there were so many. There were so many guys. There were so many shortstops that were taken. They're like, oh yeah, but he projects to an outfielder or this position, and then they compared somebody to a first round pick to Billy Hamilton. I said, oh geez, so he can't get on base, but he's fast.
Right.
Well,
good luck there.
You just never know. A couple years ago, the A's traded Jeff Samardzija to the White Sox, and the names on the transaction is like, okay, whatever, right? Well, who did they get? They got Josh Fageley. They got Marcus Semien. They got Chris Bassett. They got guys that are currently producing on the team right now. And it's like, Samardzija's long gone, signing that big, massive contract. But it's just like, you just don't know. These guys, I mean, I made the joke about it, a day or two ago. Let's find out who the A's selected number 29 so we can find out who they're going to trade away by 2023.
Yeah, they actually took Logan Davidson, shortstop from Clemson.
Which was a good pick. And he's probably valued a little higher. And they said basically he's Jed Lowry, a younger version of Jed Lowry, but who knows?
He's average. Yeah. And then the Twins took Keilani Cavaco, a third baseman at a high school.
Yes, they did.
I just out of the top 5 picks, who's your feeling that's going to be the guy to PC out of that? Or no, not you. I'm sorry. Let me reword this. Which one do you think is going to be the next great chase? Like, who do you think out of these 5 picks, who do you think everyone's going to run down?
Assuming none of the high school guys actually go to college.
Yeah, I don't think any of those 3 guys, those first 5 guys, Green or Witt, are going to go to college. They're all going to go. They're both going to go pro.
If they're wise, yeah.
I would say Witt, because he's got name recognition, which would fall right in line with Guerrero and Biggio and a couple of the other guys that have come out over the last couple of years.
Dub says whoever Twitter tells him to. So
wait, what's funny is we can't get a Panini checklist a day or two after something releases. And what's funny is, we just watched the 2019 Bowman draft checklist, happening live.
Yeah, except for the set, Bobby Witt will be in 2020 Bowman, because usually they hold the second pick back to be in their first Bowman, is in Bowman.
There'll be a couple guys, I'm sure.
Steph, who's your pick?
Don't get me and Rich involved as far as Panini checklists. We have our own set of headaches, but I'm going to agree with Ben. I think Witt Jr. might have the longer future overall. Rutschman seems to be the top pick as well as far as the pundits go. But, I mean, how many number 1 overall draft picks have actually panned out? It's a pretty small list.
So just to be a little different than you guys, like Witt's on my team, so I'm going to kind of pretend he doesn't exist in this. Out of these guys, I'm going to say J.J. Bleday, the guy who's going to go to the Marlins. The problem is he's a Marlin. So,
what's funny is I think it was Jim Callis wrote a piece for The Athletic. I believe it was Callis, the top 10 catching prospects as of right now in the minors, and whatever the number, Rutschman, whatever his name is, number 1 overall pick, is already listed as the best catching prospect in all of the minor leagues.
Even over Joey Bart? Come on now.
He had Bart number 2. He had Sean Murphy at number 4, and I think Murphy might be the most ready-made catching prospect right now. I think he's going to be the next one called up out of,
Bean says Alex Manoa, I think is how I say it. The dude from West Virginia looks like Rod Beck reincarnated. Plus, he wears 47. That guy's got a personality, and he's just someone to watch in general. He's like 6'5", like 280, and he looks like a grown man, like a caveman came out, like Steve Bedrosian just walked out of the bullpen in Rod Beck's body, and they're out there pitching again. It's awesome. Then there was a kid from one of the Texas schools that got drafted by Texas, played third base. He's got like a mullet and this crazy hillbilly beard, and he looks like he's just out there like a little kid having fun. So I'm excited to see. It's always a new class, and we won't know any of these guys for the next couple of years. There you go. It looks like Steve Bedrosian and Rod Beck and Brian Wilson had a baby, and it's this dude.
Well,
AK-47, I like it.
And let's not forget that the coolest thing was probably Braden Halliday being drafted in the 32nd round by the Toronto Blue Jays, and number 32 being Halliday's numbers. So kind of a nice tribute. Whether the kid sticks or not, who knows? But it's cool of them. I mean, we all remember the whole Mike Piazza favor to, Tommy Lasorda's longtime friend, Piazza's dad. Let's take your kid, and then the rest is history. So
there was some fun this week. If you follow the Sports Card News or Sports Card Radio, they have like a 2-hour podcast, and they mentioned us at like the 2 hour and 7 minute mark and 3 seconds, I think is what Steph said. But I like those guys, listen to them. But they sent out fake Luka Doncic autographs as a tweet, and it said, "Dry your tears with your trim slab, boys. Your Luka Doncic Panini America rookies autographs are fake." They posted a video comparing 3 different signatures by Luka throughout the year, and then they compared it to a video of him signing with Fanatics live, and his signature matches those of the earliest autograph cards released this year. And then Steph shared a tweet from Dr. E. Vitas in February 11th of this year, saying, "LOL, Luka clearly isn't always autographing his own cards, and the only reason it hasn't blown up is because people are desperate to believe he is." So there was a whole bunch of stuff going on with, and hopefully Steph can pull this up and show just the tweet. Okay. So we're going to share, I think we've all shared the video and stuff now, but it's worth checking out. But it's funny to me that if you do look at it, if you watch the video, it's a couple minutes long. It's severely different from his normal Luka autograph, and then there's like a Lulu and then a Lulalu, and the handwriting's completely different. And then it shows a Fanatic video recently because he just signed the exclusive with them. He's signing live and he's signing basketballs, and it looks like the very first autos, but it looks nothing like the other two. So obviously his autograph's not changed, but there are other cards of his, as we show some of the slides here, as it changes through the year. His is more of a sharp angled on a slant. These other ones are more looping, and to be honest, like a more feminine touch. So it's one of those things, man. Like, who knows? And now he has these. What are you gonna do? And there's the video or picture of all the different styles of his autograph. So
I mean, some players, obviously being a big Yoenis Cespedes collector, he had the long Cespedes, and then he had the YC52, where it's actually Y52C, which is what it adapted to. So if you ever got it in person or through the mail, he would do the Cespedes. He dropped that after the first year. But with Luka, it's obviously not the same. It's not a condensed one.
And it's more, if you look at the second and the third styles, they're more deliberate than the first one, and the first one is the one that he recently signed on a ball. So that tells you that's most likely that's 100% his auto. These other ones are more loopy. They look more like more time was taken on the autograph.
Well, at least Dak Prescott was smart and got an auto pen. I mean, why not? You think the president of the United States signs everything? I mean, we know that whoever holds office doesn't.
Yeah,
we know most of that is a stamp. I mean, at least get a stamp and have somebody stamp it for you, as opposed to.
He's not getting paid to sign autographs.
No.
And no one's paying $30,000 for an autograph. And anyway, and so it's one of those things. And I'm telling you right now, once the draft hits and the new product comes out with Zion, everybody's going to be dumping these Lucas for whatever to get the new Zion autograph. So, yeah, it's be careful when you're doing that. I mean, even though Panini, and they're not going to come out and ever say anything, because they won't. They're not going to stand up like we talked about Cryptozoic last week, standing up and saying, "Yeah, we had some bad art. We apologize. We're embarrassed. We're sorry. Please forgive us."
Well, no, I mean, you can't even get Panini to issue a press release most of the time.
Can't even release a flipping checklist.
Yeah, I mean,
it was not released until I think late yesterday.
But until everybody collectively stops buying from them, that's what it's going to take, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty much there. They also had on Sports Card Radio probably the best, most wanted list ever on their homepage with awesome, amazing nicknames for some of these SOBs in the hobby. You have Gary.
Alleged.
Well, I can call them SOBs, right?
Oh, you can call them SOBs. You just can't. Their crimes are alleged.
Alleged, yeah. So you have Gary, aka Gary Moser, aka Scissor Hands, Robert Block, aka Fat Kid on the Will Jamit, aka One Touch. And the reason being is because he actually bought One Touches from Colin on Amazon and then returned them like a day later or something.
Hey, Colin accused him of being broke.
Yeah.
He's like, you needed that $40 back. That's why you returned him.
Yeah, and then he's got Brent Huggins, aka Britt Mastro. We're going to talk the guy for PWCC. We're going to talk about here in a moment. But it's a fun list. Just go through and read it, and it gives you some details. And then there's Boomer or Boomo, and I'm sad that he's from Lawrence. And then the Black Label guy, we're going to talk about him later. Gelfman, aka the Gelf or the midget from Miami, which is hilarious. I was calling him Gelf the Elf. I thought that was a good one. Then he lists Kevin Isaacson on here, who used to be in charge of the Summit. Tom Smith, Mike Smith, Georgia State Prison. He calls out the Beckett's CEO.
Blowout.
Yeah, Blowout CEO. Joe Orlando. I mean, Brian Gray got called out.
A lot of people in Dallas.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Cardfather X. I don't even know who that is. Josh Cade. So, he's a razzer. Oh yeah.
I see.
Now this FBI type most wanted.
Mark Sapir, aka Hands.
Yeah, it was absolutely hysterical when this came out a couple of days ago.
Oh god, yeah. So take a look at it again. These Colin and Ryan, they always provide good information, but sometimes you have to pull the information out of the shtick that they offer because of the way they present it. But it's in there. Yeah. So the Black Label issues at Beckett service. So this was, I think, Steph, you sent this over. Kaya from the Twitter Blowouts forums was posted something about BGS Black Labels and Joe Clemens, eBay ID WJC 75056, and illegitimate grading. So he said, for the purpose of this thread is to expose what I believe is to be an ongoing illegitimate grading at Beckett Grading Services. You may have seen posts and other threads about how Joe Clemens, a former BGS employee, accounts for about 25% of all the BGS 10 Black Label sales on eBay and a significant chunk of BGS 10s as well. And there's a link there. It deserves its own comprehensive thread. With a thanks to Super Dan 49 and then 31 224 508 Oncom C's and Peck or PEJC 300 for the research and advice. This is what I've pieced together thus far. The results of Joe Clemens' BGS submission gradings contain at least one Black Label. Here's a record of recent submissions from Clemens, which was uncovered by looking up serial numbers of Black Labels sold through his eBay account and serial numbers of cards before and after. I'm not going to go through all of the 18 dates here, but he submitted 159 cards. 107 received Black Labels. 67.3% were Black Labeled in the last 9 months. Black Labels mean the card is pristine. It is perfect. Here are some of the names on here. Bowman's Best, Vlad Guerrero. Bowman's Best, Vlad Guerrero. Bowman Draft, Chrome, Vlad Guerrero. Topps Finest, Derek Jeter. Prism, Mike Trout. Manny Machado, Topps Finest. Casey Mize cards, Jordan Adams. Joey Bart, Jonathan India, Alex Baum, just tons and tons of guys that are people are chasing down where he had black labels. This does not include the other cards he submitted at the time or getting 10s. I didn't count how he did for 10 for 10. It might not have had black label, but it was probably 90%. It's crazy. We'll send it out. I've never submitted cards, but this just adds to like, okay, what this guy used to work there, and he's selling a ton of black labels. And we have like, proof of the numbers, the serial numbers, everything matching. Acuna updates. It's crazy.
No, why wouldn't you offer this guy a job if he's that great at spotting? He's like the best grader in the history of the world. I mean, he deserves to have a job. He can spot black labels like nobody's business.
So maybe that's what he did, but I mean, come on.
No, but I mean,
he has 3 Topps Chrome Update Walker Buehlers that are black labeled.
You guys know how I feel on grading. I think the whole thing is a scam. It's always been a scam. With all the stuff that's coming out, I'm going to scroll through real quick and see if I can find what Ken said. In the chat, he said, I love how people are just now furious with PWCC, and we can expand that to the entire grading industry. Not to put words in his mouth, but he continued, like they haven't been shady for years now. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing has been a scam, and people are living and dying by this as if it's the Bible to trading cards.
Yeah, and here we go. So to add on to this, Brent Williams, our boy from Brent and Becca, tweeted a series of tweets this week. I'm going to read through the tweets. I was approached by a grading company higher up a decade ago. I was interested and said I would give it a try. The company was going to offer a discount, was going to discount the orders, and I could put a minimum grade I would accept on the grading, or it would be returned raw without a charge. But here is when I knew grading wasn't for me, again, along with several other factors such as time. I was given guarantees. I'm sure this isn't a surprise to anyone, but I was told due to my volume, I could get certain grades per batches sent in. I was promised I would receive a certain amount of gem or of mint/gem mint grades, percent-wise to the number of cards I sent in. And if I continued to send in on a monthly basis, that percentage would increase over time. Brent's probably one of the most honest guys I know in the hobby. And I'm talking, I mean, so we're going back to 2012. So 7 years that I've been back. Probably hands down one of the most honest and open guys in the hobby. And for him to come out and put these tweets out on the 1st, it doesn't surprise me. It makes him 1,000% believable to me, because I've also heard when certain people submit that they know, they let their guy know when their submission's coming in, and they know where it's coming from. And I just want to know your guys' thoughts on this black label thing, Brent's tweets.
Well, Brent's told me plenty of things in private conversations that I've not shared with anybody because it's private. But he doesn't do this kind of stuff. He doesn't put that kind of stuff out. For him to come out and say it gives it all the validity that anybody would need to know. I was talking to my dad about this yesterday, and I said, okay, Tim, you're a grader, and I'm in Brent's position. And you came to me and said, hey, Ben, if you give me 100 cards, I'll grade them at a discounted price because you're giving them to me in volume. And if you want them all to be a 9 or better, any ones that I don't perceive as a 9 or better, I will send back to you free of charge and keep them raw. Okay, I've got no problem with that. There's nothing wrong there. They're basically saying you're getting a discount by doing it in volume, and you're saying I'm only wanting a 9 or 9.5 or whatever, whatever the agreement is. And they're going to give it their, transparent, objective grade, and anything that falls short of my expectation in this case, like Brent said, comes back. Where that line stops and a new segment starts is when they say the more you send to me, the higher the percentage. So you're telling me I can give you a pile of crap and you're going to grade them at a higher grade because I'm sending them to you in volume? The percentage doesn't go up. It's based on the merits of the card, is it not? Or in theory, it should be. That's what you're paying for. A 6 is not a 7. A 7's not an 8, so on and so forth. You don't just get an 8 if this card theoretically should be a 6 because I sent 500 cards to whatever the grading company is, not to throw any specific one under the bus. And then you, Tim, Steph, you guys send just one card that's identical, and you guys get the lower grade because you're just not as basically they're saying certain customers are worth it and certain customers aren't. Whoever does the most business with us and greases our pockets are the ones that ultimately are going to get the best grades.
Here's my graded Jim at 10 Ozzie Smith.
I pulled that off of Facebook yesterday, I believe it was, or this morning.
Graded rookies authenticated. I mean, and maybe they're grading it because it's authentic that it's Ozzie Smith's rookie card.
But 10 mint, the corners are soft. And left to right, it's what, like a 98.2? 95.5?
Maybe.
Right.
And by the way, we all want to say right now that Ken Kinsley is the smartest, most handsomest man that's ever listened to a podcast.
And thank you for watching the Cats this weekend.
And he's an amazing person. He really is a good guy. I'm gonna tell you.
He's okay. I'll just say, Crystal seems like a very nice lady. I've not met her, but dude outkicked his coverage. She seems way too nice for him.
Yeah, we all outkicked our coverage.
And he'll be the first to tell you that.
Oh yeah, hands down. No, yeah, Ken's awesome. I'm glad he could stay up this late. I know his bedtime's early.
He's okay, mediocre at best. I wouldn't say awesome.
But from Ben, that's like a PSA 10. So
it is right. Right now, it's a trimmed and slab 10. There you go, buddy.
Trimmed up. So continuing on this awesome path of destruction in the hobby regarding trading cards, PWCC is in some deep shizness. Now Darren Ravel's tweeting about it. So he sends out Brent Huggins, PWCC's eBay's highest grossing trading card dealer with 50 million in annual sales, is on the ropes tonight after message boards have discovered that PWCC was involved in altering some cards they sold. Here is Huggins' statement, in which doesn't deny the allegation. This is Huggins, the PWCC, and we've asked them to come on, and they have not responded back. I said I would have an open and honest discussion with them. But I know the Card Hub said he was going to drive down there. So if you can do that and, we can TMZ this thing, that'd be awesome. This is a statement. We are obviously aware of the issues surrounding the cards submitted to us by Gary Scissorhands Moser. First, we want to apologize to all those who have been affected by purchasing of trimmed or altered cards. We are not disappearing or burying our heads in the sand about this. Next, we are presently working with both PSA and law enforcement to ensure all altered cards are brought to light, and this information makes its way to our customers. We understand that we are responsible for our part in this mess, and we'll do all we can to make it right. In the connection with Moser submitted cards, as well as other submitters who may have altered cards of which we auctioned. We understand how difficult it is to be patient through the process, but we are working through this as quickly as we can at the direction of counsel and appropriate authorities. Finally, in response to the recent findings, we are no longer selling any of Moser's submitted cards. We are very sorry for the trouble that this has occurred, and we will work to regain your trust. Now, hold on, dude. Just last week, we talked about that terrible podcast or webcast or whatever interview you had with that numb, boring as paint drying dude, and where he just asked, and he said you were conserving cards like they would for like
museum pieces,
yeah, or comic books. And now you're coming and you're going, wait, no, we didn't know, but we're, so hey, asshat. What is it?
Well, that press release said a whole bunch of words that didn't say anything.
Yeah, it says we're idiots.
Going back to Panini, I'd rather them just not say anything than to come out and literally slap us on the face. It's like, come on, dude, we're smarter than that. Don't think that we're just all these naive collectors that are going to bow down and go, oh, PWCC had nothing to do with it. Yeah, and that's why when we invited them on the show a couple of days ago, we knew that they weren't going to respond.
Yeah,
and we would be nothing but polite, but we are going to ask questions that people want to know.
Yeah,
with all due respect,
we're collectors and we want to know. The other thing too is if you listen to the Sports Card Radio podcast this week, they talk about how they have text messages from a guy that was consigning cards through there saying, and having this dude say, "Go ahead and bid it at this price. You will definitely get outbid." So shill bidding. And now selling trimmed or altered cards isn't against the law, but shill bidding is definitely against the law. So if that was the case, then that's some really scary, really FBI knocking on your door stuff that they talked about. They're based in Lake Washego. Is that how you say it? Washego, Oregon? And OregonLive.com even posted an article. The article didn't say much, but it did publicize an issue going on with a local company and saying, hey, this is happening in our area. And so I think that's a pretty big deal that they're getting involved. PSA even then released a statement regarding this recently in the last day or so. And this is a long statement, but I want to put it out there. PSA is aware of the recent Hobby Message Act board activity and is conducting its own investigation into the matter. We take consumers' protection seriously, as evident by the thousands of altered and counterfeit cards we reject each year. Our ongoing investments in grading and holder technology and long track record of working with law enforcement to eliminate fraud from the hobby. PSA processes more than 2 million cards each year and will not let isolated acts from a few dishonest actors deter consumer confidence in our brand. We will act against anyone who violates the PSA terms and conditions by knowingly submitted altered cards for authentication and grading. While our actions will be conducted privately, please know that the impact will be felt by those attempting to mislead collectors for personal profit. As with any financial transaction, if you're unsatisfied with your purchase, contact the seller to immediately request a refund. If the seller is unknown, you may send the card to PSA for review under our financial guarantee of grade and authenticity. PSA is well-versed in combating fraud, and we have addressed these issues in a professional and direct way for nearly 30 years. After all these years, our hobby is stronger than ever. Rest assured that PSA will not let actions of a few have any lingering impact on the hobby or the brand, the PSA brand. Steve Sloan, PSA president. Now, real quick, they've definitely ruined, these people have ruined the hobby because some of the cards they've trimmed and altered are some of the most sought-after cards in the hobby. So, and a lot of them have been serial numbered, maybe out of 100, maybe out of 50. Say 10, 20% of those have been altered. So then you're taking that down to even a lower number. It's pretty crappy. And the fact that you don't know if card, like, for example, Steph Curry rookie card, serial numbered 7 out of 100, you graded it twice. How do you not know that? We talked about this last week. Dublin Snow, hey, is PSA going to refund if I buy a trimmed slab off eBay for $500? No, they're going to tell you sorry, bud. But
no, they're going to try to bow out of this unscathed. Hoping that hey, we're just the middleman. If Tim sends it to us, and then we send it back to Tim, and Tim sends it to sells it to Steph, that's a private transaction between the two of you. Now wait a minute. Steph's paying extra money. He's paying an inflated price for something that has been altered that me, the middleman, was paid to catch. It's absolutely 100% my responsibility to say, sorry, Tim, I can't grade this because it's been altered in some way, whether that be trimming or soaking or using some kind of a hot conduit on it, whether it be something. But
just going on the record with all of the people in Dallas getting busted, I do not trim cards. I've never submitted a card for grading, and I'm not your shady beans baseball card blog. The shadiest of all shady.
What I'm saying, though, to be honest, it's funny that it's weird that a majority of these guys are located and are near the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah, you mean where PSA is, where Heritage Auction is, where Panini is, where Leaf is, where... Interesting.
Well, that would be no different than something going down in Silicon Valley, like the whole internet crash, right? When all these startups crashed. Oh, it was all in Silicon Valley. That's where they were based out of.
Well, that's like a statistic that, whatever percent, some super high, 90% of all shark attacks happen with 100 feet of water. Yeah, because that's where the fucking people are. Sorry.
I'm just saying, Dallas, those people from Dallas, you got to be careful. Except for Ken. It did. It did. No, so it's guys. We've talked about this. We've all not like been fans of grading. We've never really talked bad about it, but this just brings a lot of things to light that I think some people knew or there were whispers of, and no one really brought it out.
It's going to make for an interesting national.
Yes. Yeah. No. Steph, you're going to be our feet on the ground there, bud. So I'm hoping you can grab some info and share it with us and let us know what's going on.
I'll try my best. And I'm pretty sure that we have someone lined up for a post-national show. So
very nice. I want you to be your best Jimmy Olsen.
And for the record, anybody out there listening, Ken is not shady. He's a very nice boy.
Of course.
Steph was joking. For anybody that didn't catch the underlying over-the-top sarcasm.
Absolutely.
Ken is a very, very nice boy.
I wouldn't have him over since we're flying out to Minnesota on Friday. I wouldn't have him at my house if I didn't trust him. He's coming over on the weekend to take care of our cats and feed them while we're gone.
Ken, he's got
cats. Whoa.
I need you to snag for me and send my way.
Wait a minute. Ken is taking care of cats. Ken is a dog, dude. Like,
well, I think it's his stepson technically, but
okay.
I mean, they're both coming over. So
I would not trust a dog guy with my cats. Just saying.
They're simple. Walk in the house, crack, place the 2 cans of cat food, close the door, and walk out. It's simple.
I just leave the
even
door
Ben
open.
can do it.
No, I'd leave the door open. I don't like animals. I'd be like, hey, sorry, this is God's will, dude.
Wow. Sports card, again, I'm using a lot of sports card rate, but they just had some really good information this week and stuff that made me laugh. They also tweeted out a picture of their site, like people that have been visiting, and they tweeted out breaking news: the FBI is reading sports card radio. Now would be a bad time to show up on the homepage. Oh, and eBay is snooping around too. Have a great day. And it was a picture of their site, and it showed like where these were, like people were viewing the site from.
Yep.
And Steph's pulling it up here now. And it says FBI criminal justice information systems were like 1 through 8, 9. And then, they're reading all about the Mike Smeet, the Raz fillers, Luka Doncic autos, scam, the greatest hit of frauds and scams, shill bidding. So somebody was sitting down doing some research.
That may or may not be tied to a government system.
Well, he also has screenshots of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and is saying that now all these eBay Incorporated, along with the FBI. So it's gonna be interesting. I mean, like, I don't know. I think something's coming out of this where these grading companies are going to have to do more on their end for security purposes, and I think that Ben brought up a point was charge more for grading certain cards, higher end cards, limit what you're grading. Don't be grading 90 tops unless it's like a no-name Thomas, don't be grading, 91 score.
2019 Bowman refractor of just base cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, PWCC goes down hard.
Oh yeah.
Anybody affiliated
bidding,
anybody that Moser, all these dudes, they're all going to go down hard. But I think PSA and BGS ultimately come out unscathed, more or less.
They're going to have better lawyers too.
Yeah, and I think that there's enough trust, whether it's validated or not, whether they should have it, whether it's warranted. I think that Beckett's going to live off of their name. PSA is going to live off of their name, and they'll live to see another day. Yeah, they probably are going to have to do some different things moving forward, but I don't think that I think it was Darren Ravel who had said that this might crash the grading market. I don't think that we're going to see it to that extreme.
Government significantly call for some major reform,
which is fine. Yeah.
I could care less. As I tweeted back out this week, that's why you collect your base cards.
So
collect your parallels and all that fun stuff. Enjoy that. I don't need the fake autos and the fake relics and the trimmed relics and autos and the grading. I don't need any of that crap. Give me just some good old day base cards and some colored parallels, and I'm happy.
So this brings up another question. Our friend Tanner Jones, who's been featured on the show, had borrowed a topic that was discussed on Net 54. So I'm not sure who brought it up there, but that's where it originated. And then Tanner, borrowed it, and so now we're borrowing it. Does ultimately, when all of this is said and done, the dust settles, low grade, mid grade, vintage, raw, is that going to be the next big thing? Because I mean, like right now, everybody's jumping on the graded bandwagon.
I would say maybe for a little bit, only because it doesn't take much to crack a slab.
Oh no, you could do it with a bottle, like a keychain bottle opener. Do it with some 10 snips. Trust me. I mean, yeah. I've done it. May not be planning on doing it on 3 cards to my left here.
It'll be interesting to kind of see, though. Right now, I think it's a rhetorical question. I don't think that there's really an answer. Obviously, there's a debate to be had.
Well, so then buy grading cards that are graded 6s and 7s and 8s.
I mean, I've said all along, like if I was ever to have an opportunity to invest in a 52 mantle for my collection, I would want it graded for the authentication purposes.
Just grade it if you send it to PSA, they'll grade it as authentic.
Right, but see, that's the thing is, if I'm buying it, I want it pre-authenticated to make sure. But now the problem is, I have no faith. I had little faith in the system yesterday and the day before that. Now today and moving forward, what little faith I had, I mean, I'm not George Michael. I got none.
Well, Bean said, he goes, I always stayed away from PWCC and Probstein. If the authorities go after PWCC, I think old Propey may need to change his diaper.
Right.
Yeah. If they go after PWCC for shill bidding, I'm sure they could find something on those guys.
Oh, Rick Probstein would be next.
I've heard.
Right. No, I'll be more than happy to say Probstein has a very bad reputation for being shill bidding central. I'm very hesitant. I've bought 1 or 2 things. In fact, I bought one thing from Probstein once, and it showed up at my house. I'm like, oh man, I overpaid for this, and it ended up being like a $4 card because I went back. I'm like, I mean, if I see Probstein's name on eBay, I just gloss over it. It's like not even worth it.
Yep.
Yeah, and Dub brings up why spend $20 to grade a $5 card? Exactly.
So here's an argument that I saw from my buddy Robbie or Booby, as it were. I don't mean condition grades, but authenticity grades. I don't trust any of those companies anymore. I could put them in a one-touch for nothing and figure out a way to make my own label for them. And he works in the print business, so side note. Now, a one-touch with a place for a homemade label would be money. So naturally, I sent that to Ultra Point, and as of now, the only like on the tweet is from Ultra Pro, as it were.
Good bumper there. For all of your Ultra Pro needs, check out TBS Sports Cards.
Speaking of shilling.
Yeah, so we're going to end this show on a bright note tonight, as we've hit over the 1 hour mark, and we've probably lost Rich.
He said goodnight about 20 minutes ago.
Okay, which is probably right on time. Our 1 year anniversary about the Cards podcast. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a number of giveaways, and we're going to do them live next week on the show.
Yes.
So it's going to be fun. What I want you guys to do is to tweet or email us a screenshot that you follow us on Twitter, you subscribe to our podcast feed anywhere, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to on the podcast, or our YouTube page. So yeah, you have an opportunity to get 3 entries. We'll probably have like 10 prizes or so. We're still working on that. I got some nice things around here. One of them is going to be the hobby lineup shirt. One, I have a Topps Living Week set to give away with Roberto Clemente.
I've got some stuff from my work here.
Yeah, I know Ben was giving away, I think 90% of his A's collection, though nobody wants it. I've got a couple autographs hanging around here to give away. So we have some fun stuff here to send out. So,
what about the trout card behind you on your right shoulder?
Oh no, this trout card back here. No, that trout card's from Steph, and that's in a very nice place of pride in my office. Here is this card of my son, but also a card of Brian Bison, his family, right next to the trout card he sent to me too long ago. So there'll be some good stuff to come out. We'll share that. So you have 3 opportunities to win, and on Twitter, we're About the Cards. Our email is aboutthecardspod@gmail.com. Again, aboutthecardspod at gmail.com. And just send those 3 screenshots to us, and they'll get you an entry to win a prize, and we'll do it live. So we're going to do a little...
we'll do it live, sorry.
Live. We'll do a little, what do you call it? Random.org. So, yeah. Guys, anything else before we head out tonight? Any final thoughts?
Yes, I did a great disservice to one of our closest friends, Mr. Joey Dub Mentality. Apparently, last week when we were talking about his inclusion in Beckett, the two of you both said something nice. I was just agreeing in silence, and apparently that hurt his feelings. So, yay for his story.
Beckett, no, this week, go out and grab a copy.
Joey's got some great insight, some great stuff. So
yeah, he has an interview with I think a card shop in Canada, and so I'm going to send my copy that I pick up to him to get autographed.
Yeah, and grab one of his T-shirts from him. I still need to get one myself.
Well, they don't make it in extra small, extra wide.
Well, that's the size that I need. That's why I haven't ordered one yet. I've put in a request, and he just says, stop emailing me.
So
I want a medium. That's all.
Real quick, Jake wanted to know what the 3 words were. So the 3 ways to enter: a screenshot that you follow us on Twitter, that you subscribe to the podcast on some kind of a feed, and you subscribe to our YouTube page.
Straight from show notes.
Boom! There's a little back. We'll pull the curtain back. That's what the show notes said exactly. So, yeah, we really appreciate it all. I mean, we've been a year, and we thought we'd last like 5 episodes, and the fact is, I think we do a pretty good job. I love doing the show. We have fun, and
well, 2 of us do.
Yeah, I liked how Colin said his thing that the best part about our show is us trying to kill each other. So that he listens to the show.
Oh well, that's a huge bonus. I mean, it's a friendly banter. We don't actually want to kill each other. We just
sometimes.
And some of it we play up because.
To be honest, the best Wilson isn't even Ben, or it's his dad Rick.
No, you have that wrong. It's Heather.
Well, of course. No, I was talking of the Wilson men. I'm sorry, I should have clarified that. Obviously. Yeah, no. I meant I was out and saw Rick on Sunday. Swung by and dropped off some a purchase he had made.
That's right.
Twitter, YouTube, and our podcast podcasts wherever you listen, iTunes, Stitcher, any of the podcast listening things. What's up, Robert? You should go to bed. You got to get up early, bud. And thanks for loving to see my face. I know it's. All right, fellas. Remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 Central on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review our show on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. Follow Ben at Our Trading Cards. Follow Steph at Junkwax Twins. Follow me at CBS Sports Cards on Twitter and eBay. At Big Shep 79. Please share your hobby stories, great pulls, and send your questions our way. Keep collecting. Well, guys, see you next week for our anniversary show with lots of giveaways and Series 2 talk. Hopefully we'll have a little more exciting information. We wanted to bring you guys down like we did tonight, but we want to provide all that great information to you. And we'll talk to you soon, guys. See you then.
Yep. See you guys.